Welcome back to Hollywood Bulletin, where the most powerful stories from music history come to life. Tonight, we journey into a love story that was larger than fame, stronger than music, and deeper than tragedy. This is the story of Yoko Ono and the night the world stood still. The night John Lennon was taken from her. More than 4 decades later, the pain still echoes. The questions remain unanswered, and Yoko continues to carry the weight of a loss too great for words. Picture it, a bitterly cold December night in 1980. New York City hummed with holiday life, but outside the Dakota, the iconic apartment building near Central Park, time stopped. Just steps from the doorway, John Lennon lay dying, shot 4 times in the back. His killer, Mark David Chapman, stood nearby, blank-faced and clutching a copy of The Catcher in the Rye. Yoko Ono, his partner in art, love, and life, watched her world unravel in an instant. It was a nightmare that never ended. More than 40 years later, the shadow of that night still follows her. In interviews, when asked about it, her voice breaks. Her grief, like her love for John, never faded. It wasn't just the end of an EBDUFAD era. It was the beginning of a life lived in mourning. And for Yoko, it's a pain that has never truly healed. John and Yoko were more than a couple. They were a force. Their bed-ins for peace, their shared art, and their fearless expression often drew ridicule, but they stood together through it all. The backlash, the press, the rumors. Yoko endured it all with grace. But strength could do little against the bullet of a fan-turned-killer. Chapman's motive? A twisted obsession. He believed Lennon was a hypocrite for preaching peace while living a life of wealth. He sought infamy, and in doing so, took away a light the world desperately needed. For Yoko, the questions are endless. Why him? Why now? What gave this man the right to silence the voice of someone who only ever asked the world to imagine peace? These questions echo in the empty corridors of the Dakota, in the stillness of a life they once shared. If stories like this move you, please subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin and tap the bell icon. We share the stories that still matter, the ones that leave a lasting mark. Yoko has never stopped grieving. In her own words, her sorrow is like an ocean, deep, vast, and unending. Every holiday missed, every milestone their son Sean reached, without his father, every silence where his laughter used to be. It adds to the weight she carries daily. Even after all these years, she says it still feels like it happened yesterday. In the years since that terrible night, Yoko has tried to live forward. She turned her pain into purpose. The John Lennon Educational Tour bus, the Imagine Peace Tower in Iceland, and countless art installations have become her ways of honoring John. But even in these acts of healing, the sadness lingers. The Dakota is still her home, and every day she walks past the spot where John fell. The memory never leaves her. She has spoken openly about the difficulty of being both a grieving widow and a public figure. Many still see her not for who she is, but for who she was to John. And worse, some still blame her for his departure from the Beatles, a burden she never deserved. Despite decades of love and dedication, she remains misunderstood by many. And then there is the cruelty of survival. Mark David Chapman still lives. Yoko has opposed his parole at every opportunity, believing his release would reopen wounds that never closed. John was a man of peace, she once said, but I don't know if I can forgive. It's one of her rare admissions, showing the depth of her pain. Yet Yoko has never allowed the darkness to consume her. Instead, she transformed it. Her art speaks of loss, yes, but also of resilience. In a gallery, you might find a shattered teacup carefully glued back together, a symbol of her connection to John, broken but not destroyed. The Imagine Peace Tower, lit each October on John's birthday, shines like a lighthouse to a better world, a world they once dreamed of together. Now in her 90s, Yoko faces time as another opponent. She continues John's mission knowing her own. Time is limited. Every project, every exhibit, every peaceful act is her way of keeping his spirit alive. But behind the public strength are quiet moments of aching memory. She often speaks of living two lives, one for herself and one for John. In those moments, she turns to ritual. A cup of tea by the window, a walk in Central Park, the same park where they once strolled, hand in hand, dreaming aloud. Even the smallest routines connect her to him. And in those moments, she believes he is still with her, guiding, watching, loving. Yoko Ono's life is not one of closure. It is one of endurance. Her story is not about forgetting. It is about remembering, deeply, honestly, and with unshakable loyalty. She reminds us that grief doesn't end. It evolves. And love, when true, never really dies. Thank you for watching Hollywood Bulletin. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss the moments that truly matter.